Hello, everybody. Welcome for the first session on Python programming. And you will be wondering what we are doing for the last two sessions. It was more about introduction to Python. Today, we start off with Python as a programming language. And in every programming language, the most important thing is the data. Why do I say so? Because the very reason why we write programs is due to the fact that there is some data that we need to manipulate. If there was no data, there is no need for you to write programs. So the very primary reason for writing programs is to manipulate data. Data may be present in various forms. It can be audio, it can be video, it can be text, it can be numbers. Data forms can be pictures. The forms of data can vary. And every program that we have is just manipulating or transforming that particular data. Every program, take any program that you know, it's about manipulation of the data. So today we plan to start with one of the most important topic in any programming language, rather the first topic in any programming language that you will come across, that is data types. So we plan to explore data types in Python in quite a detail. But before we go ahead with data types in Python, we have seen how to start with Python. That is, if you're working under Linux, you would say Python 3 on the command prompt. If you're working under Windows, you just say Python on the command prompt. So either Python 3 or Python. Once you start Python, you can use this Python prompt more like a calculator. So that is what we'll see first. And then we'll proceed towards the topic of introduction of various data types. So to begin with, I plan to demonstrate to you how to use Python prompt as a calculator. So when I say as a calculator, I literally mean as a calculator. The interpreter acts as a simple calculator. How? You can type an expression at it and it will always give you the answer. We had a glimpse of it when I was introducing you to this interpreter or the command prompt and so on. Today, I will give the things in a bit more details. Today, we'll explore those things in a bit more detail. We have all the operators like plus, minus, multiply, divide. The way these operators work for any other programming language, may it C or Pascal, they will use exactly the same fashion even with Python. They'll have the same meaning. And parentheses can be used to change the order of evaluation of expression. So we all know arithmetic operations, if I'm carrying out, if I have multiplication, addition both, addition gets carried out later, multiplication gets carried out first. We had the concept of BODMAS rule when it comes to mathematics. So here we have something called as precedence and associativity, which I'll discuss in detail. But you want to change the order of evaluation, you can just put brackets and you can change the order of evaluation. If I say 2 plus 2, that's 4, I can put the brackets. Here it did not have any difference in meaning, but I'll get answer as 4. So I can actually say, don't divide first. So I'm saying 50 minus 5 into 6. Solve this expression first and then divide it by 4. So I can put these brackets. I can also get fractions. 8 divided by 5, if I get solved, I get answer as fractions. Now there are two types of integer division operations. So if I use the integer division, I'll only get the quotient. And if I use the division, I'll get the real number. So I'll just show you those things before we proceed further. So I plan to start off with Python. So let's do it under Windows. So here is my command prompt that I started. So let's start with Windows command prompt rather than PowerShell. Here we are. And I'll just type Python. The moment I type Python, the Python has started. And remember, we had installed Python last time, and we had also set the path. So now that we are on the command prompt, here is where I would like to test it. So I say 2 or 3 plus 5, it gives me answer as 8. Suppose I want to carry out some other operation. If I say 3 plus 5 into 4, so 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 into 4 is 32. But if I want to evaluate this expression, I got something different. It says unexpected indent. Okay. So indent, maybe by mistake I put a space. So I remove that space. and I say 3 plus 5 into 4, it is 23 instead of 32. What has happened now? That means 5 4s are 20. That has got evaluated first, and then addition has happened. The reason for that is multiply operator has higher precedence than addition. So if you have two operators like multiply and addition in one expression, multiplication, division, modulus, those are the operators that will get evaluated before addition and subtraction and so on. But I wanted 5 plus 3 to be evaluated first. So I can put it into brackets. I can 3 plus 5 into 4. Then I get answer is 2. So here I've changed the order of evaluation. So multiply operator has higher precedence than plus, but I wanted plus operator to be evaluated first. So I put brackets. Bracket change the order of evaluation. So innermost brackets will get solved first. So 3 into 5 has first got solved. Into 4, that's the result, and we have got answer as 32. So we can change the order of evaluation by using brackets. So moment you use this parenthesis, we're saying, okay, solve this thing first, then do the rest of the result of this expression will be multiplied with 4 and so on. But there are so many different operators that are there. Let us quickly have a look at them. If I say 5 divided by 3, I got answer as 2.0. Note the decimal point. But at the same time, if suppose instead of 5, if I 7 divided by 3, I got answer as 2 point, then repeating 3 0.33333335 and so on. How much precision we want over here, we can control. I'll teach you how to control that precision slightly later. But I say 7 divided by 3, I got the answer as fractions. But suppose I had said 7 divided by 3, I'll only get the quotient that is 2. So this is integer division, where it is a real division. You'll get the answers in fractions. But if I want only the integer part, not the fraction, the decimal part, I can just say 7 divided by 2, divide, slash. That's integer division, whereas this is a real division that we have. But at the same time, had I said 7 mod 3, so mod will give you the remainder, and that's 1. So while mod gives you remainder, this gives you integer division, whereas this gives you real division. Okay, and then we saw the precedence of operators and so on. So we are just trying to explore various operators which are there. Had I said 7 minus 3, I will answer as 4. So 7 minus 3 is 4, 7 mod 3 is 1, and 7 divided by 3 is so and so. So we are now carrying out these particular operations. So we're using Python as an calculator over here. We're using Python as a calculator. So now we have just seen a part of it. That was a basic introduction. Oh, since we have installed Python, we'll also have something called as IDLE. That gets installed along with Python automatically. That will also provide you a Python prompt. And all these operations we can carry out there as well. It's more colorful, so I prefer it. So since I started with IDLE, we do first settings. I go to options. It says zoom height. No. I go to option. I say configure IDLE. In configure IDLE, it will ask me to font size. And whatever is a comfortable font size that I would take, I say apply. So now look at the font size has increased. I want the statements to be bold. I say bold and I say apply. Everything is bold. So I'm going to take this as my Python prompt. That's IDLE. So we can come over here and check it out. What is this? It's IDLE, Python's Integrated Development and Learning Environment. IDLE, Integrated Development and Learning Environment. And that comes from the creator of Python. It is created using TK, and we'll also be working on TK. It's version number 3.9 for IDLE. The Python version is it was developed using Python 3.9. Oh, we are working with Python 3.9. We had installed Python 3.11, isn't it? So if it's giving me Python 3.9, that means the path that it has selected is that of Python 3.9. Okay, but we really want Python 3.11, not just 9. We'll come to it later. Let's have a look here. I say 6 plus 8. It says answer is 14. And there is a difference in color. While this is black, this is blue. So that's more colorful answers that we're going to get to see. While this is black, this is blue. I don't know whether you can see the difference in color, but that's how it is. Now, suppose if I write another expression, I say 6 plus 7. I put this into parentheses. I say 6 plus 7 divided by 5. So it's 14 divided by 5, that's 2.6. And had I said the same thing, divide by 5, so I got answer only as 2 and not 2.6 and so on. So while this was regular division, this is integer division. If I write a statement saying 2 into 4 into 4, it gives the answer 16. Whereas if I try and say 4 into 4, that's like 4 raised to 4, and that's 256. So while this is 4 into 4, this is 4 raised to 4. Likewise, if I wanted to say 2 to the power 3, so its answer is 8. 2 into 2 into 8, 2. The 2 to the power 3. So while this gives you power, this gives you multiplication. While this was division, while this is integer division, and then this was addition is plus. Subtraction we have our pass. If I say 6 minus 7, it will be answer as -1 and so on. And we can put the brackets as we had seen to change the order of precedence. So that's our IDAB. So we have also seen how to open up IDAB. What you need to do is, I'll just close this. On your search bar, you can just type for IDLE. If you have installed Python, it will give you IDLE. And here I have two IDLE, 3.9 behavior was 3.11 behavior. So let us start with 3.11 and also do the settings from 3.11. I have multiple versions of Python that are installed on my machine. So we started with Python 3.11. Let's see what has happened. Why didn't it start? Let us close and see. So let's do it once again. I say IDLE. It says Python 3.11. It took some time. First time I have started, so it has taken some time. We could increase, decrease the size of the window as we want. So that's the size of the window. And here you can start typing all your commands. Okay. If I just say, if I directly type welcome to Python, it just says welcome to Python as it is. If I say 4 plus 6, it says answer is 10. You could just indent it properly. 4 plus 6, it will be answer is 10. I prefer using space before and after the operator. That's what I prefer, not a compulsion as well. So this is colorful. Okay, 10 in blue, this in black. So the result is in blue color and so on. You can change the combination of colors as well. You can go to options once again, and you can say configure IDLE, and you can play around with whatever configuration you'd like to have. So you can just check over here. It says gold, highlights, what color combinations you'd like to use. Windows Classic है, अगर आप dark लेना चाहते हैं तो ये dark हो जाएगा. So this is another thing that I prefer, a dark one. So it's not hurting the eye as well. Well, now the results are the same. So now I say 9 raised to 3, raised to 729, and so on. Okay. So we have various operators, and that's how we can use Python prompt as an operator. Any questions so far? Have you all understood this? Give feedback. Sunita, Shweta, Shantanu, Prithviraj, Yusha, you all need to turn on your cameras if you are attending the session. Okay. So any questions? So nobody has any question. So after the session, okay, after the session, you immediately need to start this Python, maybe tomorrow morning, early morning, and you need to just repeat what I just now did. Because unless you don't have a first-hand feeling of it, starting with Python, you may have difficulty in setting the environment variables if needed. Come back to me. I'll help you out with the settings of those environment variables as well. In Linux, we have to export those variables. In Windows, it's just very automatic. In Linux, it's pre-installed, so you don't even have to install Python. You can just start using it.
Yes, sir.
But you start with Python 3. So same thing if just a minute. Same thing if you're trying to do under Linux. So here I go. I'm under Linux right now. I start off with Linux. Where I go? I am starting with Ubuntu. In Windows, we said Python. Here I'll say Python 3. Let it start. It's taking some time. There you go. I say Python 3. It has started. I can say 6 plus 7. It says 13. 23 into 5 divided by 4. It says 28.75. What is the result? I wanted to first divide and then multiply it by 4. So 5 divided by 4 ऐसे करेंगे पहले. Okay, and that's same because multiply and division both have same precedence. So in this expression, even if I had written in this fashion, let's see, will it make any difference? That did not make any difference. The reason for that is multiply and divide, both of them have same priority, same precedence. But if the operators were of different priority, like 23 plus 5 divided by 4, that's 7.0. And if I now change the order, the brackets, it will have a completely different meaning. That's 24.25, whereas this was 7.0. So the things can really change if the operators priority or precedence are different. If the priority of the operator like multiply and divide, both of them are same, then you'll have the same result irrespective of how you use parentheses. So when the operators involved in the expression have different priorities, and you want certain operator to be getting evaluated first. So 23 plus 5, that got evaluated first, divided by 4, that gave you 7.0. But suppose if I had not used brackets at all, like what I have done in the first expression here. So in that case, oh, not here. 23, suppose if I write this way, 23 plus 5 divided by 4. So although I have not used brackets, but division has higher priority. So it's division which will get evaluated first, then followed by addition. So we got 24.4. So this expression and this expression both have given the same result. Reason is division anyway is having higher priority, that will get evaluated first, then followed by addition. I'll give a note regarding this later after the session, but that is what it is all about. So have you understood this concept of priority, everybody? So some operators have higher precedence and some operators have more priority, precedence, both the words are same. So priority means they get more preference over other set of operators. Some operators have same level of precedence, addition, subtraction, same. Multiplication, division, mod, integer division, all of them are same. Raised to higher. So there are operators which have different levels of precedence. Any questions, anybody?
Sir,
Bully.
sir, why you not downloading it from Windows Store? Python.
ऐसा कुछ नहीं, download from anywhere. It was just taking more time.
Sir, but it was going directly over there only when you were typing Python.
Yeah, because it was not, the path was not set earlier. Then
So,
I
sir, if
downloaded from
the
python.org and then I started with it.
so, sir, if you don't set the path and directly download for Windows, then will it be okay?
Check it out. If it doesn't start, then set the path.
Okay, sir. But I did like you only. I did
Okay.
it from Python or
It's always better if it comes from the source. Huh? Why take third party when python.org is already giving you it for free?
sir, from Windows it won't download other things like that IDLE and all.
Check it out. Install and see. You can always uninstall.
Okay,
Normally, when you install Python, everything gets installed. Ideally, automatically gets installed, irrespective of where you download it from. That's a inbuilt thing that comes bundled along with every Python distribution. Bundle. अब चाहे नहीं चाहे Python के साथ आपको ideally आ ही जाएगा. Okay. Any questions regarding Python as calculator that we are seeing today? Okay. So if there are no others, have you all understood? Sunita, Rahul, Monica. Monica, सो गए क्या?
No, sir.
So let's move on to our major topic for today's discussion. That's date type. Now you may be wondering, why do you need this concept of date type? We'll come to it very soon. Why? But let's understand what exactly is a date type. So programming is all about processing data. I told you the very reason why we write programs is because there is some data and that data needs to be manipulated. If there is no data, we don't need to write any programs. The basic need for programming is for manipulation of data. And data may have various forms. So data in Python program is represented by objects. So don't worry about what are these objects. Just think about what is literal meaning that comes to your mind. It's a thing. Object is like a thing. But then these are special things because we can describe them. They're special things because we can identify them. And how do I identify anybody? If I tell you what is this, you will identify this. How do you identify? Oh, it's a glass bowl. It's a glass. How do you identify? Looking at the structure, looking at the type of material that has been used. It is used for holding some liquid, and it's some juice that I'm having. So don't worry, glass may be different, but it's juice that I'm carrying. But then we describe that thing based on the properties, what you get to see. Correct? If I show you another thing, suppose if I take this, you'll say, oh, that's a mobile phone. Correct? And then say number of cameras, kind of thing. So you're describing things. So this is a thing. It can be identified. It can be described. You can differentiate between these two things. How? Based on the structure, based on the purpose for what they have been used. I'm definitely not going to use this for holding some liquid. I'm definitely not going to use this for making a call to my friend. Okay. So both have their different purposes and so on. So everything that is present around us, if we can identify them, we can describe them. Rather, we identify them with some associate with them with some properties, some behaviors. So even the data that is there around us, we can differentiate, we can identify it. Like if I give a number 5, you will say it's a number, sir, it's not text. But if I say Anil, you say, oh, it's a text, sir, it's not a number. But that text or number gives us an opportunity to identify what kind of operations will you do. Right now, I showed you an operation like multiplication, like division. So if I say 7 divided by 2, you will get answer as 3.5. But if I say Anil divided by Sunil, does it make sense? Anil ko Sunil se divide kar liya. So the data type actually tells us what are the operations, legal operations to be performed on a particular data type. So if I have some type of data, whether this kind of operation, is it legal to carry out that operation or is it illegal to carry out that operation on the data type, that is identified by the data type. So data types gives us an opportunity to identify what operations can be performed on this data and what operations cannot be performed on this particular data. It also gives an opportunity to let us know what is the range of values that that particular variable will hold and so on. So let's understand what exactly is data type. These objects are built-in objects provided by Python or objects from extension libraries or created by application by the programmer. So in Python, we can say there are 3 major types of data types. One is built-in type. Today's session will focus only on this built-in type. Even tomorrow's session will focus only on built-in type. Built-in means something which comes already ready for you in Python. You don't have to take any efforts. It's ready-made. It's available for you. You just have to start using it. It's ready-made, available. Or objects from extension libraries. There are a number of third-party libraries that we can download and make them a part of Python. They will also provide you some additional object. Or you and me, as a developer, can go on to create a new data type. Like suppose I want to describe this thing. Now tell me what is this thing that you get to see?
Pen.
Pen. How did you identify that? ऐसे मन में आया पेन इसलिए पेन कह दिया.
Because we have used it in the past.
Probably have used it. Okay, you may have used it, but how did you identify that the thing that I'm holding is a pen?
Because of its structure.
Its structure. You did not even see the behavior. What I'm doing with this, you did not see. Whether I'm going to poke you with this or whether I'm going to write with this, you are not very aware about the behavior. But definitely the structure give an idea as to what kind of thing it is. It has a cap, it has a refill, look at the point, and probably this has all the properties that the pen has, and so you called it as a pen. So I can describe this real world thing as a developer in programming language. So we have an opportunity to describe the things that are there around you in the real world. That's one choice that you have. But that we'll learn later how to create your own data types. That means how do you describe the things that are around you using some advanced features in this language called as object-oriented programming feature in Python. That we'll discuss later. But you could differentiate it because of the structure. And that structure has number of structural characteristics like cap hai kya, metal hai, body kaisa hai. refill hai kya, refill mein point hai kya. So those are all structural details that you looked at and you felt that was important. Using that, I could describe that thing. So we can actually create new data types as a developer. That topic is for some other day, but point is there are three types of data types that you'll have. One is built-in that we are going to focus today. The second is extension library, third-party libraries that we are going to download. They will supply you some additional data types. And the last one is, depending upon your application requirement, you may go on to describe the things which are playing some very important role in your solution to the problem. You are a designer. You are designing solutions to some problem. And you need some more types of data to manipulate. And Python doesn't know about the data type. You could describe that. That's also an option which is available for you. So mark my word, there are three types. First is built-in type. Second is objects from the extension libraries. And third is the one that you and me will create as an application programmer. So you and me are going to be developers. Rather, we should start calling ourselves developer right from day one. Because if you call yourself as developers, only then you think like a developer. So created by the so three types. Yeah, the built-in types, objects from the extension libraries, and the objects that we will create as a developer. So three built-in types of object. So far, we have different kinds of objects for different data types. So we have each value in Python is of specific type. So every value is something which is unchanging data, fixed है, 5 है, 7 है, Anil है, Anil का Sunil नहीं बनेगा, 5 will never become 8. It's just a value. It's just a representation of that data in the real world. So we call it a constant, it's just a value. Each value of Python program is of specific type. So every value has a type. So let me give you a glimpse about how does every value have a type. So let's jump onto our console once again. So we have this particular console with us. So I'm going to constantly switch over from one thing to another. So I'm going to switch to this console. Can you see the Python command prompt, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, so let's have introduction to various types. Here in this, I use 6 plus 7. I got answer as 13. I want to know what is the type of 13. So I can just say type and I can say 13 in bracket. So we'll tell you the type of 13. Kya kaha isne? What is the type?
Integer.
Integer. Int matlab integer hai. Then we have another number like 28.75 and so on. So I just say what's type of this particular value? That's 24.5. Whatever is the value, it says it's of type float. So we have seen two different types. Ek integer hai, jahan koi decimal point nahi hai. And then when I say 28.4, there's a decimal point involved. It says float. Oh, we are also talking about some built-in types. Like मैंने कहा था आपका नाम है. So we have with us somebody called as Harsh. तो मैंने type किया. तो कहता है string है. So we had integer type, we have float type, we have string type. There are a number of different types of values that we're going to have. Let's take some other type. Suppose if I say, if I have 2 divided by 3, and let's see what happens. It says no, double bracket extra. It says float. That means 2 divided by 3. If I write, I'm going to get answer as 0 point something, and then that is of type float. So expressions also have type, because if I say 2 divided by 3, I got 0.66666. So type of 0.6666 is nothing but float, because this is an expression. So expression got solved and we have an answer. So there is a ready-made operator in Python called as type. Okay, so how do I read more about it? Let me also teach you how to find some help. So what I want all of you to do, I just forgot to share you the softwares. But anyway, for the first day, I'll just go here. I'll say python.org. And I go to documentation. I go to Python doc. I want all of you to have this doc right in front of you. And then once we are here at the doc, we had these types that we had seen. There was one command called as type. I want to know more about these types. I'll type. I'll type over here. It says, oh, C types. Kya type chahiye aapko? There is so much about types that we have. No. I don't want C types. I want the command called as type. And I want to know what does type mean in Python. Okay. So here we go. You get the built-in types, array type objects, count built-in structures, data types. So I come to this concept of data type, available types, and so on. So it's telling us, oh, there are different types of data that are available for you. So there is so much of thing that is available, but I wanted to know more about this concept of type. Okay, we are dished, you have this, and there are so many types. Date time, okay, it says date objects, time objects, zone object, function object, are in Python, everything is object and everything will have a type. I just showed you right now the types which are basic, they are built-in types. And you don't even find a mention about those types over here. These are all advanced types which are available. Specialized date types, correct? These are from various libraries that you'll get. So these are various types also which are additionally available. So we'll look into those types. But what I was more concerned was the command. So let us go to documentation once again. And do you have the 3.11 language reference में चलते हैं? The language reference will give identifiers and keywords. So here we go. So you have various identifiers and keywords which are there. But over here, we don't have anything as type. I'll come to these keywords also, what exactly it means. Last time we already had seen about these keywords. Okay. So here, there is everything about Python that you would like to learn, you'll find it over here. All the basic things that you want to know, everything is available. So you get types here, and there's a function called as type that we just now used. The function kya karta hai? With one argument returns the type of an object. So I just gave some value, so it has given you the type of the object. I'll tell you about these additional things also that we can pass, but that's one way to do it. Is instance built-in function recommended for testing the type of an object because it takes subclass into account. So I'll tell you about is instance later. It's too early. Right now, what we are seeing is a concept of type. It's a built-in function. So whatever type of object that you pass, it will immediately tell you what class it belongs to, whatever class it belongs to. So we can use this concept of function called as type. It's a built-in function which is there. And using this function, we can know what type of data do we have. So we just saw two different types of data. You could try out any other type of data. Three data, a float data, then we saw string, and we saw integer. So three different types we have seen by using a command called as type. So each value in Python is of specific type. We did that right now. Every value was of specific type. Data type of the value determines how data is represented in the computer memory and what actions can be performed on the data. That's very important. So if you know what type of data it is, you will get an idea as to how is it represented in the memory. As a Python developer, we are really not bothered about internal representation of the data in the memory. Not really bothered. We, as a Python developer, don't think at what is happening at the machine level. As a C++ developer, I would have gone into more details as to how is the data represented. As a Python developer, I'll keep it that discussion for additional reading for you so that you can read and explore how is the data represented in Python. But that's not very important at this stage. But what operations can be performed on the data, that's something which is very important. So if you know the data type, we can immediately identify whether such operations are allowed or not. Look at the last result. We said 2 divided by 3. I got answer as 0. This was real division. But if I had said Anil divided by Sunil, it would say no, unsupported operand for string. That means unsupported operand for division operator. So when I say 2 divided by 3, 2 is one operand, 3 is another operand. Operand is the data on which operators are acting upon. An operator over here was division. So यहाँ क्या कर रहा है? Type error है. Unsupported operands for division. So for division, we are saying string and string. This kind of operators cannot be divided. But I would have said Sunil divided by 7. It says no. A string and int pay, this division operation cannot work at one time. So if I had both integers, that's perfect. So if I had said 89 divided by 7, so you get 12.74 and so on. यहाँ कोई unsupported operation नहीं. Likewise, if I say Monica into 5, so what will happen? We'll get 5 Monicas. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Some operations. So data types in every language will have a different way to work. In Python, multiplication will multiply the strings, but it will also add the strings. Suppose if I said Monica plus S. So we have Monica's. Okay, that's perfectly all right. So addition operator works on strings. Multiplication operator repeats the string, but then division and mod will not work. Monica minus S. So Monica say M subtract कर लिया. like what we do in maths set operation. So Monica minus M, that's an unsupported operation. You cannot separate M from Monica. So minus operation is not supported in string. Plus operation is allowed. Multiply is allowed. Division is not allowed. Integer division is not allowed. So data type tells us what kind of operations can we perform on that particular type. Okay. So what is the type of data? What kind of operations can we perform on that type? That is something that we'll understand by using concept of data type. Okay. So let's continue with the points that we are just having. I'm just trying to quickly run through it. So what did you say? Data type of the value determines how data is represented in the computer. I did not show you how is the data stored in the machine and what operations can be performed on the data. That's what we saw right now. So data type gives an idea as to what is the kind of operation that we can perform on that data type. So every data has a type. The type tells us two things. How will this data be stored in the computer memory, which currently is out of our concern. Second is more important for us. The data that has been currently stored in the memory, what operations are allowed and what operations are not allowed to be performed on the data. Data is provided by a language itself, is called as primitive data type. That's our topic for initial discussion. They are primitive data type. The language itself will provide these types. It supports quite a few data types, numbers, text, strings, files, containers, and many others. So Python principal built-in data are numeric, sequences, mapping, classes, instances, exceptions. Oh, there are so many built-in types. Okay, there are so many built-in types. So we just saw a glimpse about values having a type. But to hold those values, what we need is a variable. But when I use the term variable, many a times people say variable is something whose value can change. Logic में हम discuss किया था. What is a variable? Anybody? What is a variable? How do you define a variable?
Sir, it stores a value.
Okay.
Memory location.
Complete sentence. Rahul.
Sir, it stores the memory location of the.
It does not store the location. Yes, Ruturaj. What is a variable?
Just it points to the location.
Pardon?
Points to the location where it is stored.
What is stored?
The data.
Data. So it refers, it points. Okay, very correct, Ruturaj. It refers. That means it's a name given to a memory location. It's a name given to a memory location where some data has been stored. So it is actually a memory where the data gets stored, and the variable points to the location where the data has been stored. It points, it tells, okay, this is where the data has been stored. So actually, what the variable will be storing is the address where the data has been stored. When it comes to Python, so in Python, variables are like references. They refer to the location where the data has been stored. They don't store the data. Listen very carefully. Variables in Python don't store the data. They refer to the location where the data has been stored. They refer, they point, they tell us, okay, your first variable A refers to some address 500 where some data, say you are stored as 99. So it is some location where the data will be stored. So it's just a name given to a location in the memory, or it refers to location in the memory where says some data has now been stored. So variables. They are kind of identifiers because they identify something that has been stored in the memory. So we call them as identifiers. Identifiers are named given to identify something. Variable is a storage location in the computer program. Okay, that's what we normally say. But it need not actually store the data. It refers to the location where the data has been stored. Each variable has a name and holds a value. In Python, this value is not the number that is stored into it. The value it has is the address where the number has been stored. The first character of identifier must be a letter or of the alphabets, uppercase ASCII or lowercase ASCII or a Unicode character or an underscore. And you can assign a value. So I can say variable name is equal to value. Have you noticed something? In logic also, we used to first define a variable saying integer something, character something. You do not have to specify the type. The variables will get the type based on what type of value you will assign. So let me give a demonstration of this. Here we are. Now, let's say we have some data. I have number 55, suppose, and I say that's my roll number. So I say roll number is equal to 55. Now, henceforth in the program, wherever I say roll number, I'm using lower camel case, it will give me value as 55. If I say roll number plus 1, it will give me 56. If I say roll number minus 1, it will give me 54 and so on. So what is roll number holding? Roll number in Python is holding the address where that number 55 has been stored. So number 55 has been stored somewhere in memory, and its address has been stored in this particular variable called as roll number. So roll number mein number 55 hai. Okay, no. Although we say roll number is assigned value 55, it is actually roll number will be stored somewhere in memory. If I have to draw it pictorially, it could be something like this. So roll number is this number 55 has been stored somewhere in the memory. It has some location, memory address, say as OXF. और ये आपका जो रोल नंबर है वेरिएबल है ऐसे रोल नंबर इसमें एक्चुअली 55 नहीं है तो OXF है. That means this is referring to the location where this number 55 has been stored. So as Prithviraj rightly said, it refers to the location where the data has been stored. So it doesn't hold the data, it's only referring to the location where some data has been stored. It's a reference to that particular type. And another thing, if I want to define some variables, we just saw some rules. It says it has to uppercase or lowercase ASCII or Unicode character. Means what? I want to create a variable. I want to create a variable saying age. I'm going to ask Rahul, what's your age? Rahul says, I'm 18 years old. If I want to know his age, I can just say age. Okay, what was the age of Rahul last year? -1, that's 17. What will be the Rahul's age next year? +1, that will be 19. What will be after 1 decade? 28 साल का हो जाएगा Rahul. Whatever it is. So age was, we will say it's holding valuating. Actually, it's referring to valuating. Okay, I'll show you the proof of it as well. But it's holding valuating right now. So what's the type of 18? 18 का type क्या है? तो integer है. And then what's the type of age? Age is nothing but that variable, na? It's holding or it's referring to the value at 18. 18 का type integer है. So ये भी integer है. So age is integer. It got that type based on the type of value that we have assigned to it. But now the same variable, let's just talk about it. Age is what we are saying. To create that variable, you don't have to do anything. Assign a value to the variable gets created. The variable age was created. I did not predefine it. But then it says the variable name can be lowercase. First letter has to alphabet, ASCII value. ASCII is American Standard Code for Information Intelligence, all the alphabets A to Z, or even Unicode characters. So if I'm allowed to use Unicode characters, means what? Suppose I decide to take a variable, I decide to take Unicode characters, like I want to change the script. So I go to Marathi and I say Rahul चाहिए ना? तो Rahul का वय कितना है? वय. I can say y is equal to 90. That's perfectly okay. No issues. So I had created one variable called as age. Age was the ASCII values, AGE characters. I could use Unicode values. Now I'm going to say वय कितना है? 90 है. अगर आपको देवनागरी आता है तो वय प्लस 10 क्या रहेगा? 10 साल के बाद उसका एज क्या रहेगा? It will be 29. 10 साल पहले क्या उसकी उम्र थी? It's 9. The point is variable names can consist of alphabets which are ASCII, American Standard Code for Information Intelligence. Please note that and find out more. Wikipedia पे जाइए and check out what is ASCII. And ये मैंने use किया Unicode. तो ये आपको दो चीजें फाइंड करनी है आज के असाइनमेंट में. यूनिकोड क्या है और ये ASCII क्या है. Please make a note of it. ASCII and Unicode characters. As a developer, you have to have very clear understanding. It says first letter has to be an identifier, must be a letter of the alphabets. So if I say, suppose one name, okay, let's switch over from English to Devanagari to English. So I have multiple keyboards installed. I'll go to English as spoken in India. So I now say one name is equal to Raja. A one as first letter of the name, variable name will not get. But if I say name 1 is equal to Raja, that's okay. Name one equal to Raja, that's okay. Oh. Name one equal to Raja, okay. I come from C and C++ background, ना? तो as a C++ developer, वो semicolon छूटता नहीं, कुछ भी काम खत्म हो जाए semicolon, कुछ भी statement लिखे semicolon. But that's not needed in Python. So let's do it again, order again. So I say name one is equal to Raja, and I say name two is equal to Rani. So let me print the name and see. I say what's name one? It's Raja. What's name two? It's Rani. And I say name one plus name two, that was Raja. Those plus operations are allowed for us to carry out. So we have concatenated both strings. Okay, that was not the point. Can I use digits? That was the point. We can use it later, but not as the first character. Can I use it in between? Like I say NAM 34 E is equal, whatever. Yeah, I don't ask me, sir, SMM QD. I don't know. I just want to show you digits can be used in between. Eh? So there is something, some garbage. Okay, and I say NAM 34 E NAM 34 NAM 34 E, you get that garbage value. Help देखो कितना अच्छा है. Did you mean NAM 34 E and you use this name? ऐसा चाहिए था कि आपको? So there is a naming error. So that name was not there. This name was there, and that was holding this value. But if I'm using digits as a first name, first letter, it will generate error. The first letter can be digits, or it can even be underscore. Underscore name is equal to secret. So अगर आपको name चाहिए, तो underscore name is secret. We got that. The first letter can be digits. No, cannot be digit. It can be space. It can be underscore. It can be alphabet. Can I use dollar? If I say dollar name is equal to money, or what is no. It says no. The first letter of a variable name always has to be an ASCII, that is English character, or even it can be Unicode character, which your script you know, or even an underscore. All those things are allowed. So variables normally use lower camel case. The first letter is small, and every other next word of first letter is uppercase. That's a common convention that we use. Where is defined the first time it is assigned a value? We just saw it. This variable was not there earlier. It got created. Suppose if I want to know the last name, if I say, what's your last name? Say my name. So I say, what's your last name? ऐसा नाम नहीं मेरे पास. So I say, last name is equal to Rahul का last name say JHA. Barabar. So last name is Jha. So now if I print last name, I use snake case. So कहता है Jha इसका last name is this. So I can use last name. I can write in different ways. I would rather prefer to use it as upper camel case, lower camel case. Last name is JHA. Yeah. So while this is all small case, this is lower camel case. First word and the second word differentiated by starting every new word with uppercase letter. But what I cannot do, I cannot add space. Last name के जैसे मैंने कहा first name, space name. No, that's not allowed. And not because my spelling is wrong. Even if I correct the spelling, it's still not. Spaces, embedded spaces are not allowed. So variable names cannot have spaces. Variable name cannot have spaces. Use equal to sign is assigned value to the variable. We did that. How do you do that? Last name is equal to Jha. We did that. Afterwards, no result is displayed before next interactive point. Means I create a variable saying country is equal to India. So country is a variable name, value is India. Value is India. So nothing has happened, nothing was displayed because just the variable has got created. Now if I want to print the variable name, a value of the variable, I say country, it will give me value as India. So if I create some variable, important thing is why do we use variable? If I say Jha, the person will not understand what is Jha. Oh, it's the last name. If I just say Rahul, or if I just say n is equal to Raja, तो n क्या होता है? Nobody will understand. So we have to give some meaningful names that will give meaning to that particular value. So India क्या था? Country का नाम था. So rather than saying country, I could have said country name and so on. Likewise, if suppose if I'm carrying some kind of operation, and if I write something like this, 45 into 20, so you got answer 900, but that did not mean anything to us. Or suppose if I have some other value, say that's the rent that I paid today, and I say into 0.18, but then there was 12,600 and so on. But one may wonder what is 7,000, what is 0.18? Are they having a meaning? Because that 70,000 was my rent amount. So it was rent amount was 70,000. Okay. And then 0.8 क्या था? GST था. तो GST का ये rate था. GST rate कितना था? तो 18% था या 0.18 था. 0.18, 18% था. अब मुझे रेंट पेएबल चाहिए, जैसे रेंट पेएबल is equal to what is the rent amount. Okay, I did not type, I just put tab into, I just say GST tab, I did not type, just tab press करो आपका वेरिएबल में आ जाएगा. So rent payable is rent amount into GST rate. Oh, that could only be GST. Okay, so our formula is wrong. If I now say rent payable कहता है 12,600, अरे ये रेंट पेबल नहीं था, ये तो सिर्फ जीएसटी हो गया. कितना हो गया कैलकुलेशन? तो my formula has gone wrong. I could have just said over here a rent amount plus a rent amount into GST, but it would be more meaningful if I use brackets. I'll say rent amount into GST से मुझे GST amount आएगा plus rent amount, that is rent payable. Now if I want to calculate rent payable, it says okay, 82,600 is the rupees rent that you have to now pay. So this issue of writing such an expression which will not convey anything, if I take variables, store values into it, and then I write such expression, they are much more meaningful. Rent payable is rent amount into GST rate. Oh, that was only GST amount. So I said rent amount plus rent amount into GST rate, that is GST, and this is rent amount, and this is the rent payable. So we have created the variable by using this equal to operator. So since I used equal to, if I had said, what's the type of rent payable? It says subtype float and so on. The value can be assigned to several variables simultaneously. Means I can create multiple variables and all of them can be assigned the same value. Let's check that thing out. If I say I have variable called as A equal to B equal to C equal to 55. So look at this variable A 55, B 55, C 55. And I said A plus B plus C is 165 and so on. Interactive mode, last printed expression is the value of the to the variable assigned to a variable called as underscore. That's magical. Huh? See the magic. Suppose like last time I was calculating the GST rate tha mere paas or rent amount tha. Both here. If I just say rent, rent plus amount nahi, rent amount into GST rate. Oh, I wanted to find the rent. ये तो सिर्फ GST rate हो गया, GST का amount हो गया. इसमें मुझे rent amount add करना चाहिए था. तो rent amount plus this is the rent payable. So what I could do, the result of the last expression ये था मेरे पास. तो मुझे rent कितना pay करना चाहिए? ये जो कुछ भी rent amount है, इसमें मुझे 12 point something something add करना है. I just say underscore. So underscore is the result of the last expression. ये आ गया 86.76. तो अगर मैंने अब अंडरस्कोर कहा तो 86.000. So whatever was the result of the last expression that is assigned to this arithmetic variable called as underscore. So when I said this statement, when I wrote this statement, we got to answer this. तो अगर मैं इसे प्रिंट करके देखूं तो ये कहता है 12.60. That means whatever is the result of the last expression that arithmetically gets assigned to a variable called as underscore, and I can make use of that underscore amount. How did I do that? I just said underscore plus rent amount. तो ये कहता है इतना आपका rent payable है. I can write an expression as well. How? Suppose if this was the result whose value was prompted, I could just say rent payable is equal to, watch it, I say a rent amount plus underscore. So let's check what's there in rent payable now. I can use this underscore even as a part of an expression. The tax was so and so 12.5 divided by 100. I say price is 50, 100 to 100.5. So price into tax. Oh, that's a tax amount. So I say price plus underscore, that gives me total amount payable. And sometimes if the precision is too high, we can round it up. Let's see, was the precision high in our case? No, that was not high in our case. But while you do some calculation, let's say 22 divided by 7, pi ka value. Oh, that's very precise. I was happy with 4-digit precision. Okay, I could just say round. आपका ये अंडरस्कोर मतलब लास्ट रिजल्ट, कॉमा मैंने कहा 4-digit precision चाहिए. आगे आपका 4-digit precision number of decimals after this. So we are also seen a function as round. But round में आप expression लिख सकते थे कैसे? Had I said suppose pi is equal to 22 divided by 7. So what's value of pi? Oh, that's very precise. इस variable की value को आपको round up करके display करना है. I could just say round pi comma 2. जरा ध्यान से देखो, ये 3.14 आ गया. But if I said pi round comma 3, it says 3.1.43. अरे 4.2 था. It actually does not truncate the value, it rounds up the value. 4 remained 4. जब मैंने round up 2 किया, यहाँ 2 था, but the next digit on the right is 8. 8 will round up this left side digit to 3. So it is not 142, it is now 143. This आपने maths में पढ़ा रहेगा. So that's what we are seeing. Variable Python can also store value of any type. Oh, that's something which is making Python a dynamic language. It has dynamic data. How? Tax rate का initial value 5 था, तो उसका type integer है. I store 5.5, that becomes float. Or I say non-taxable, that becomes a string. Let's check it out. Here we go. I say tax rate is equal to 10%. So I say type of tax rate, कितना integer है बाबा? I say no. Tax rate था 0.5, 10.5 था. Now if I say it's even float, तो नहीं, tax rate था not applicable, NA. अब इसका type देखते हैं तो it becomes string. So it's not a strictly typed language like C, that once you create a variable and store integer into it, throughout the life you'll have to store only integers. If I try and store any other type of value into it, it will generate an error. Python is a dynamically typed language. We do not have to predefine the types. The variables are created when you assign a value. So tax rate got created when you assign this value. Assignment was done by using this equal to operator. And since we assigned value 10, the type of this variable is integer. Later when I assigned 10.5, the type of the same variable became float. Next time when I assigned a string called as NA, we always put strings in double quotes. So tax rate का type क्या हो गया तो string. So Python is a dynamically typed language. The type of the variable is determined by the type of the value that we are assigned to this variable. If I assign integer, tax rate is integer. If I assign 5.5, tax rate is float. If I assign a string, tax rate is a string. Have you all understood this concept? Dynamic data type or dynamically typed language?
Yes, sir. So you said like underscore prints the previous expression. So it is only applicable in IDE, or can we use it in scripts?
Can we use it?
Scripts.
No, only in the ID. Not in the scripts. You never use the script. Okay, any other question? You can use in the ID. You can use on the command prompt as well. IDLE was an ID.
Mm-hmm.
Command prompt was just a command prompt. Okay? So it was Python interactive shell. So this will be available in Python interactive shell. ऐसा नोट करके रखिएगा. The underscore concept is not will not be available in your script. It will be available in the Python interactive shell. तो आपका जो shell है, where you test your Python ideas. So in the shell it is available, not in the IDE. IDE is just something where everything has been bundled and supplied to you. So it will give Python IDE में अगर prompt है तो वहाँ भी available है, interactive prompt है तो. Script में it doesn't have any meaning in the script, or rather it has a different meaning in script. Now, important thing is if I say x equal to 3, then what would happen? Anybody? Any idea? If I say x equal to 3, what would happen? Any idea?
It will store that value.
Louder?
It will store that as integer type.
Okay. So Python is slightly different. I repeatedly mentioned if I say x equal to 3, 3 will not be stored inside x. Rather, x will point to 3.
Yes.
So x will store the address where 3 has been stored. Okay. If I say y equal to x,
Y will address to X.
y will
No,
address to?
No, it will store value because it is
X.
not specified.
Y
So
will store-
y will store the address value of x, or rather it will point to the store value of x.
Sir, y will be because y actually 3 will.
y ची value 3 will ठीक आहे. म्हणजे काय y in 3 y 3 will get stored into y.
नो नो सर x आता जे पॉइंट करीत होता 3 ला आता y पॉइंट करेल आणि x कट होईल x पॉइंट करायचं सोडून देईल.
X will not no longer refer to it. No.
Sir, it
Else,
will, sir, it will store the address value, sir.
इसका
So, x ka,
Of X.
not value. The address. It will
Address.
store the address. It will store
Sir,
the address.
y will be also pointing 3. y also start pointing to 3.
Okay. So here what Sanjay has guessed is right. If I say y equal to x, x and y both will start pointing to the same value 3. So 3 is a value that has been stored somewhere in memory. And in Python, what Kaustubh and Monica is trying to get, those kind of features are in C and C++, where we can get the address of a variable. In Python, there is no way you can get the address of a variable. You cannot assign. Python is safer than C, C++. The biggest reason for failure of C++ is because of misuse of pointer concept. Python uses concepts, but does not let us as a developer use this concept of pointers. Internally, तो हर जगह Python में pointers use किए गए. But to a Python developer, C Python के अंदर अगर source code देखोगे, you see all the stars and everything. But as a Python developer, its life is easy and safe. You don't have to worry. So remember, those who are amongst you have some idea about programming language like C, C++. The most important feature in those languages are the pointers. Python uses pointers internally, but does not let developer use any feature like pointer. So there is no way where y could have stored address of x. That was something which was not possible. But now if I say y equal to 2, now what would happen?
It will override the value.
It will override the value. So what will the value of x be now?
X.
3.
X will be 3 and y will be 2.
If it overrides 3, so in a variables,
Yes.
if it overrides, it means that location correct. X is pointing to 3 and y is pointing to 3 means 3 stored at some address. That address is stored in x and y. So now if I say y equal to 2, so what would happen?
Y will point to the address of 2.
Y
y
point
will
to-
now start to point to.
Louder.
Y will point to 2.
And what will
The-
happen to x?
x will point to 3.
Okay, so y will point to some other location. So x is keep pointing to the same variable 3, whereas y will start now pointing to another variable that is 2, another value that is 2. So it is not like it will just go and make changes to. I said values are unchangeable. 3 will never become 2. 3 is 3. In the memory, it will remain as 3. Y will point to another location where 2 has been stored. Okay, so that's how variable assignments work. Let's cross check it and also see the addresses for I said addresses नहीं कर सकते but देख सकते हैं. So let's do it. Look at this. I say x is equal to 3. And for some reason, I wanted to know what's the location where x is pointing. I just say ID of x.
Sir, you are not sharing.
Okay. So I just said x is equal to 3 on this line. Is that okay? X equal to 3.
Yes.
If I say x, what is the value that I'm getting? 3. So x is holding value. Which value is x holding?
3.
No,
1.
address of 3. I want to check that. I could just say ID of x. It says this is ID of x. And let's say what's ID of 3? Oh, it's the same. So there is some address where that 3 has been stored. So you can think for a moment, I'll come to it detail later. For a moment, you can think 3 was stored at this location memory, and that address got stored into x. So ID of x gave you a location where 3 has got stored. Likewise, I say y is equal to 2. Okay, oh, I say y is equal to x. Now if I say ID of y, oh, that's also same value. Y is equal to x kahan maine? So y equal to x matlab y and x both are pointing same location where 3 has been stored. So what is this location? This is a location where value 3 has been stored. Look at this ID of 3. I got that particular value. X is also holding the same address. Y is also holding the same address. But the moment I say y is equal to 2, if I say, and then if I check ID of x, ये वही था. ID of 3, ये वही था. But if I now say ID of y, you will say it's different because it's a different location where y is now pointing to. The variables in Python point to some location where the data has been stored. Some location in the RAM, jahan data was stored. And when you check, you get to see what's the value that has been assigned to that particular, or what's the address that was really changed. Have you understood?
Sir,
this
those
feature?
were RAM locations, right?
Python program kahan run karta hai?
Virtual machine.
Virtual
PVM.
machine. So there are some memory areas in the virtual machine. Wahan ka address hai. Actually, virtual machine itself is running in the RAM. So technically speaking, you are correct. Okay, because the memory it utilizes is some section of RAM, but it's in the PVM. So whatever address PVM is having. So let's say from the PVM, but obviously PVM kahan lega to RAM se lega, hard disk se to space lega nahi. So it is from the
So-
RAM, but that's not the actual address. It's just a relative address related to PVM. Yes, please.
So it will always change, right? So
It
if
will always-
next time I want to check the address of 3, it should change.
Okay, let's do that.
So like close the interpreter and then open it again and
Here you go. I terminate this interpreter. I start with another interpreter, correct? This thing, shell. So
Mhm.
here I go. I again say Python 3, and I say x is equal to 3. Now let me say ID of x, it's giving me some other address. ID of 3 is giving me some other address. Last time ID of x was this. This was the location. This was the location where x was stored. Is bar this is the location which x is pointing to. ID of 3 is bar ye hai. Last time ID of 3 kya tha? ID of 3 was this, and this time ID of 3 kuch aur hai. So it's not a fixed address. Wherever the variable gets value gets stored, that address will get assigned to that variable. Was that your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So I just created one more instance. Addresses. We do not have control like a C++ programmer to decide the location memory where the value will get stored. Wherever the system finds free space, it will allocate the memory for that particular value. So values are stored in the memory, and every memory location has an address. Address is nothing but the position of that memory block in the RAM. So we get that address, and that address gets assigned to that variable x, y. These are only references. They are referring to the location where the value has been stored. So in our case, x and y are only references which are referring to the location where that value has got stored. Have you all understood this feature?
yes.
Quick feedback.
Yes.
Tick mark चाहिए. Yes, sir. नहीं समझ में आया तो क्रॉस करो. विराज. यहाँ में किधर है? Okay.
Sir, I was writing that.
Okay. Variable assignment. Variables can be assigned to another variable. We saw y equal to x. We saw that. Reassigned at any time. We did that. Tax rate. Oh, let's do it once again. Reassigned at any time means what? X is equal to 5. So what's value of x? It says 5. Oh, I can say x is equal to 77 now. Or it can be reassigned anytime. Several variables can be assigned at the same time. Means I can write a statement saying A equal to B equal to C equal to D equal to 44. A का value 44, B का value 44, C का value 44, D का value 44. So more than one variables can be assigned at the same time. Oh, all of them are having same value. I can actually say A, B, C, D is equal to, okay, 33, 44, 55, 77. So A का value now is 33, B is 44, C is 55, and D is 77. Perfectly. So more than one variables can be assigned at any time. So first, we created a variable, we assigned one variable to another variable, then I reassigned the value to that same variable, and we have assigned multiple variables, where 1, where 2, where 3 has values like 5, 10, and 15. Okay. So like I could just say, I can just say day, comma, month, comma, year is equal to, I will give some values. So I can just say 11, 2, 2004. Okay, let's see what's the day. Day is 11. What's the month? Oh, it's 2. What's the year? It's 2004. So we got some value. More than one variables for assigned value only by using single equal sign. That's possible. Different values can also be assigned. 3 different values assigned for 3 different variables in order. So have you understood this pointer variable assignments, everybody?
Yes.
Feedback, tick, cross, उसको चाहिए.
तर जर x ची व्हॅल्यू आपण चेंज करत जातो x बरोबर
आराम से.
x ची व्हॅल्यू फर्स्ट 77, त्याच्यानंतर x मध्ये 2 स्टोअर केलं, त्याच्यानंतर x मध्ये 5 स्टोअर केलं. तर लास्टला x ची जी आयडी असणार आहे ती 5 जेव्हा स्टोअर केलं ते असणार आहे शेवटी.
नाही, the latest one.
लेटेस्ट वन असणार आहे.
हा, latest असते, yes.
तर मागच्या व्हॅल्यू काय होतं?
Let's do it. X is equal to 77. ID of X ये दे रहा है. X is equal to 3.
तर ते थोडं
ID of X कुछ और है, latest. Then I say X is equal to 34. And then I check ID of X कुछ और है. Is that okay, Sanjay?
yes sir.
Any else have any other idea? Question? Monica, क्या doubt है? Feedback.
Sir, my question was that X occupy every time 4 bytes.
No,
Consume memory 4 bytes.
we don't know. We don't know.
We are storing integer value.
No, we don't know. If I say X equal to 4, X is storing address of that location memory, but that location का जो address का जो number है, like what we had over here in this case, ये ID of X, that means definitely this is a number that has got stored into variable X. If you look at this, earlier this is a number that got stored into the variable called X. So you are thinking in terms of pointer. Is that pointer storing the address pointing to that location? But Python does not describe as to how big a memory is allocated for that variable X actually. यानी एक पिक्चर की तरफ देखोगे तो इसके लिए कितनी मेमोरी allocate की है, Python never talk about it. Or rather, you as a Python developer should never bother about it. This question you could ask me in C++. अगर आप मुझे पूछो सर इसकी साइज कितनी है या इसकी साइज कितनी है, how much bytes of memory it occupies. As a Python developer बोलूंगा चिंता मत कर यार, वो कर लेगा Python. You don't have to bother. You are not a C++ programmer to go into low level and understand how much memory it is occupying. Python will take care of it. And neither there is a direct mechanism for us to verify how many bytes of memory was allocated for the variable. Is that okay?
Okay. It automatically garbage collection.
It will.
Automatically garbage collector. Garbage collection.
I'll not talk about it right now, because if I start speaking about it, because Python is slightly different than Java. Okay. And I could show you those corner cases, but then it will make the topic that I'm discussing right now will become slightly confusing. Because ये जो मैंने अभी आपको introduce किया ID, अभी तो काम कर रहा है. Okay. But अभी के लिए वो काफी है. But that's not the solution to the entire problem. Just to understand this concept that ID was given, Python is very special. It uses a concept called as, अगर आपको समझे आपको जानना है, तो the way strings are stored in Java, same case Python manages literals. So अगर आपको जानना है तो check for what is interning, INTRNING. So that will give an answer to your question कि actual क्या हो रहा है Python में. But as a Python developer, you normally don't need to go into memory level and understand. We are not going to create Python language. We're going to use Python language. And the more you go into details as to how is Python internally managing the data, then you better learn C++. That gives you opportunity to write a code that is mapped to the underlying hardware. So whether it's 4 bytes, 2 bytes, all those things. In C++, we had a data type, a function called a key operator called as sizer. No such operator is available in Python. Okay. To check what's the amount of memory that's allocated for the variable in Python. Is that okay?
Okay, sir.
Anybody has any other question?
No.
Okay. So it won't be right for us to, actually there is a mechanism behind it which we could discuss, but that would not be appropriate right now. Okay. So actually the data that we have is never going to store the way we are storing. It will always be converted into a type, means a binary format that the machine will understand. But we are not thinking about low level what is happening. We are only focusing on what the behavior of those operators like plus, subtraction, minus, divide, mod, what variables are. So we're just focusing on the basic operators. We are not going ahead with what is happening internally. Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. So let's proceed further with the next part of our discussion. All these things we saw. There are some conventions that are there that we have to keep in mind. So these are variable naming conventions. Variable names can consist of alphabets, digits, and underscore. So inside a variable, you can have alphabet, digits, and underscore. So you can create any such variables. Let's do that. Here I am. I create a variable called as var1. Okay, alphabet, only alphabet. Var is equal to 55. Var carry 55. I say var1, var1 is equal to 55. And then I say var1, 55. I can say var underscore 1 is equal to 55. And I say var underscore 1 is 55. So we can, if I say var $1 is equal to 55, this is not. So we can only use things that I have mentioned. Kya mentioned here? Alphabets, digits, and underscore. And digit cannot be the first letter. Okay, it cannot be the first letter. The first letter of variable should be underscore or alphabet, cannot be a digit. Means if I now say 1 var is equal to 55, it generates error. Var1 is equal to 44, it works. If I now check value of var1, we'll say 44 and so on. So variable names are case sensitive, means this is interesting in Python. If I say I have a variable for as max, max the value 100. I get max, its value is 100. But if I say max in small case, and if I say max is equal to 88, and if I say max equal to 88, whereas uppercase max is 100. So आप बोलोगे सर दोनों max है ना? M, capital M and small m for us is M. But for the machine, capital M has a different ASCII value and small m has a different ASCII value. Rather, Python no longer uses ASCII, it uses only Unicode. But ये Unicode और ASCII क्या है? That is an assignment for you to find out what is Unicode and what is ASCII. The max is different, 100. Oh, I used MAX is equal to 55. Yeah, MAX is equal to 1200. So now if I check max 88, max 100, and MAX का value 1200. If I say max plus MX plus MAX, is what answer is 1388 and so on. Point is, these are case sensitive. Variable names has to be single word. Embedded space is not allowed. Means I cannot say max space 1 is equal to 55. Error. Spaces are not allowed in the variable. Variable cannot be seen as that of keyword. So I cannot go to create a variable like if is equal to 77. But if I use some other name, I will say foo is equal to 77. Oh, that's okay. But if is a keyword. So when I use the word keyword, that means that particular word has a specific meaning in the language. So since that word has a specific meaning in the language, you cannot use it for any other purpose. Monica's question is, थोड़ा आगे का है, does Python have a constant variable? इसका आंसर yes and no है. अब बोले ऐसे कैसे? It did not have and today it has. And did not में 2 की बात नहीं कर रहा हूँ. Python 3 में भी पहले नहीं था. But some version of 3, like 3.6, it has now started providing you support for constant variables. So that feature has now been lately added to Python. Recently, I think it was 3.6 or 3.5. So that feature has been added. So it was not there. Now you do see that has now been added. So we can do a quick search for it. How do you do that? The best place to search for anything related to Python is to go to python.org. So I go to Google and I go to python.org. Python.org. I hope you can see what I'm doing. I go to documentation and I go on to check what you just now said. That's called as final in Python. So you have this final here. Yeah. I mean, ये वाला फाइनल नहीं चाहिए, ये वाला चाहिए. ये कब इंट्रोड्यूस हुआ है? 3.8 में आ गया है, 3.5 में. I can create a variable whose value cannot change. Okay. If I try and change the value, it will generate an error. अपने max size final के दिया with value as 9,000. If I try and change the value, it will generate an error. But we'll come to it later. That's topic for some other day. But that feature is very recent, 3.8 में आ गया है. And 3.8 was a recent version that was released. So for a long time, that feature of constant value was not there. अब है. Does that answer your question, Monica?
Yes, sir.
But now another question that should come to your mind, sir, ये changes आए नए feature आएंगे कैसे ढूंढेंगे? I also don't want to do a research. So when I go here, what I do is, when you come here, when you go to python.doc ना, ये org पे चलते हैं ना. Yeah, let's go to python.org. When you go to documentation, you go to Python doc. First, you'll have what's new in Python. And this new in Python will tell you what was new that was added to Python and so on. So that makes it easy for us to quickly explore what changes have been done to this language. Okay. Faster C Python. 25% faster than 3.10. Okay. But all the features that have been available are quickly available here. You don't have to waste time searching what new features have been added in this. You can quickly go and check. अब 3.13 में क्या आने वाला है? They are also talking about those things. Audio loop भी आ रहा है.
So they are
Audio-
deprecating this.
Deprecating. अच्छा, deprecate कर रहा है. Okay, they are removing. कुछ और आ रहा है क्या देखते हैं? Okay. Deprecating means it will be advisable not to use it. It may not be supported in future. So 3.13 में remove किया जाएगा. And अभी भी use करना बंद करो. Something that is being deprecated, we should avoid using it. So likewise, when you go here, you will immediately get to see information. They will tell us, okay, fail unless, deprecatealize, ये इस version में deprecate किया गया है. तो what things were having deprecated, and finally क्या remove हो गया है वो भी है. So you can find all this information in Python doc. Okay, any questions regarding today's session?
Sir, please share software collection link.
No, sir.
Yeah, I'll do that. But any question regarding what we have discussed so far? One point that we forgot to mention over here, and let's talk about it. That's very important. Although in logic I had emphasized on it, here I just forgot to emphasize. So let me emphasize on one very important point. The one very important point that I wanted to emphasize was the last one. It says variable name should be meaningful. Means you shouldn't be creating variables like X, Y, Z. No, if foo doesn't have meaning. If the value has a purpose, a meaning, like suppose if I say X is equal to 77 and Y is equal to 80. What does it convey? What is X and what is Y? But suppose that 77 was the length of the room. I could say length is equal to 77. Y was the width of the room. Width is equal to 80. And so I know, okay, 77 is length of the room and 80 is the width of the room. So if I want to calculate area, I could just say length into width or whatever it is. And
Sorry,
then-
area spelling.
ठीक है, वो rectify कर दो. Syntactically is correct. I got that pretty good. So variable name should be meaningful. Don't say Z is equal to X into Y and let the person wonder as to what is Z and what is Y. Oh, variable name cannot be same as a keyword. Keywords are words which have a specific meaning in the language. Like I showed, you cannot say for is equal to 66. You know, error. Or ROF, ऐसा कोई keyword नहीं use करता, that's okay. But for is equal to 66 will not be allowed because that's a keyword. And what are keywords? Keywords are names which have a specific meaning in that language. So there is a name, and if that name has a specific meaning in that language, you cannot change the meaning of that particular command in that language. So that's something which is illegal.
But sir, how to find that keyword?
Pardon?
How we can know that this keyword is already is used in Python?
No, that's something like while you learn a programming language, say when you learn some language, they suppose tomorrow you decide to learn Gujarati. So will you be using some words from that language? You'll be taught and learn. You'll be learning some words. Yes or no?
Yes,
That word has a meaning.
yes.
Okay. So if you do not know the words of the language, then can you form sentences?
No.
No. So if you're learning Python, one part of learning Python will be to know the commands of the Python, the keywords of the Python. And if you're not aware of those keywords, then you will not be in a position to get your work done. But beyond that, you may not remember all the keywords. That is a possibility. There is a possibility that you may not remember all the keywords. So there is a way out. Someday you are confused. You want to check whether this word is a keyword in the language or is it something different. तो वैसा क्रॉस चेक किया जा सकता है, प्रोग्रामेटिकली भी किया जा सकता है, एंड इवन थ्रू पाइथन. कैसे? एक तो डॉक में आ सकते हैं आप, एंड यू कैन जस्ट टाइप कीवर्ड्स. द मोमेंट यू टाइप कीवर्ड्स, it will give you testing Python keywords. No, it will give you Target keywords. I'll say keyword. If I say keyword, here it goes. तो Python मॉड्यूल एक है कीवर्ड, हमें वो नहीं चाहिए, हमें कीवर्ड चाहिए.
सर वो लूप का फॉर था क्या?
ना this is something interesting that I'll show you. तो ये एक मॉड्यूल है जिसके थ्रू हम फाइंड कर सकते हैं ये कीवर्ड है या नहीं आपके दिमाग में जो आया है, बट मुझे दिखाना है आपको कीवर्ड्स दिखाने हैं पाइथन के. तो लेट्स नॉट गो टू दिस, लेट्स गो टू documentation. Let's go once again to audio video talks, beginners guide, English, Python doc. ट्यूटोरियल में चलते हैं और यहाँ देखते हैं कीवर्ड. Keyword arguments, keyword only arguments. Here also it has not listed all the keywords. So what I do is Python language reference में चलते हैं. यहाँ है identifiers और keywords. यहाँ आपको keywords ये है आपके. So these are the only keywords which are available in the Python. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So these words cannot be used for any other purpose. अगर मैंने कहा suppose lamb or suppose pass is equal to some value. So मेरा first pass, second pass इसलिए मैंने कहा pass equal to some value, it will generate error. If I say my turn is 5, that's okay. तो turn qualify है, but मैंने कहा my pass is 5, that is error, नहीं पास. तो for some reason you have to check if pass तो normal word लगता है, पता नहीं चलेगा कि ये keyword है कि नहीं. In that case, you have to import this particular module and you can just say keyword dot is keyword. I'm going to check is Monica a keyword. If that false, it's not a keyword. Is as a keyword, as a keyword. Is async as a keyword. It's a keyword. Is for a keyword. It is. So there is a way out which I'll teach you later. So the module called is keyword, and you can just say, is it a keyword? And pass whatever name you have. It will quickly tell you whether it's a keyword or not. Is that doubt clear? Yes, please.
Yes, sir.
Anyone else has a question? Okay. So hearing no questions, I assume you have understood whatever was to be discussed. Meanwhile, what I'll do for you is I will give you an access. I'm going to share a link with all of you. And using that link, you can download the softwares. I'll share it in WhatsApp web. I'll also update this module. Meanwhile, what you could do is you could download this and keep it ready. I'll check. Just give me a minute. Folders. It was added in the 9th month. तो थोड़ा सा पुराना है. I'll update the latest one. Meanwhile, if you have some, it is 1.7 GB है. So I do not want to share with you all something which is 6 months old. So let me update it and share with you. So you can download all the software on one place. So what I'm going to do with you, for you is watch it. I'll be sharing one link with you. Hold on. Some way, even mouse is Just not pointing. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Can I
Yes.
see the screen?
No,
Black screen.
No, sir.
कुछ नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है?
It is
No.
showing Rishikesh has started screen sharing.
So it
Nothing
looks
else.
like there is some delay. Windows probably telling me stop, students are bored. आज खत्म करो. तो इस screen दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है. Yeah, I think now you can see the screen.
Yes.
Okay. So here I have something called as Python software. I'm going to share a link with you all. तो यहाँ से मैं कॉपी करके आपको एक लिंक शेयर करूंगा. लिंक डाउनलोड पर क्लिक करोगे, it will take you to this folder. Download this entire folder, and in this folder you have all the software that you need for working with Python. So I'll give Python software collection. It's just like it is a bit old. So I'll make the changes. I'll upload the latest version, and I'll share the screen link with you all. So you can download
Is
it
it-
and just install Python, or you may have already installed Python. Start working. So whatever we discussed today, you're going to explore. Two things you're going to take care now is first find out what is ASCII, what is Unicode, and then try out whatever we have seen. When you wonder, अरे ये हमने इतना सारा देखा याद नहीं रहेगा, तो ask Monica madam for link access to our e-learning portal, especially those who are new, and you will now be assigned to Python course where you find all the notes. So whatever I have discussed today, those notes are there, but update those notes in a notebook. Zip files are lost, the PDF files go somewhere, we don't even know. Your notebook is quite handy. So जो key points there, put it down in your notebooks. And if those points are there with you in your notebook, it will be very easy for you to recap while you're going to go for exams, for the interview. So just before you go for, just 2 days back, one of my ex-students who is currently working with a French company and managing a very large Python project, she had come. She was still sharing the same story. That, sir, I just go through the notebook and my revision for Python is done. And she's 4+ experience in Python and working on a multinational project team, handling a very large team. But then that quick reference is something which is required. So make sure you have those notes with you. Those simple things तो याद रह जाएंगे. नया कुछ देखा, मैं ID देखा, type देखा. Make it a point that you note it down. Okay, at least what we have discussed. When I share the notes with you, pen it down in your notebook. आपके पास एक जगह notebook में सब कुछ रहना चाहिए. And that will make a lot of difference in your learning. And it's a compulsion actually. In classroom, I used to dictate and make them write. But here in the virtual session, I share the note, at least make sure that key points you know and write it down in the book. The revision bhi ho jayega, and you know what is to be tried out. So ask Monica for access to e-learning portal for Python course. And once you get access to the Python course, you'll find all the notes and everything. So try out all the things we saw today. See you tomorrow at same time. And we continue with our discussion on the first topic. Tomorrow, I start with something very powerful. How do you display the data onto the screen? I'm going to discuss in quite a detail through Python. So don't miss tomorrow's session. I'll be discussing some functions from Python, which are most widely used. Almost in every program of Python, you're going to use it. So you shouldn't be missing out on those sessions. See you tomorrow at regular time. Take care. Love you all. Bye-bye. If anybody has any question, please ask.